What's next for you? How do you feel? What's going through your mind right
Susan Cingari here with newly signed BKFC fighter Brian Maxwell. How are you tonight, Brian?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I am great. We are just less than 2 weeks away from the big fight in Tampa. How has your training camp been going so far, sir?
My training camp so far has been very well. It's one of my best so far. I'm in tip-top shape. Probably the best cardio I've had in a long time. Out of all the years I've been in combat sports, I'm very well prepared for this fight, and I'm most definitely ready to put on the show for the fans at BKFC 8.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't wait to get up there because Bare Knuckle FC8 is just going to be a great card. I wanted to ask you, a lot of our viewers are not as familiar with bare knuckle fighting as they are with other combat sports such as MMA and wrestling and some of the other elements that go along with a combat sports arena. Have you done anything differently to prepare specifically for bare knuckle fighting? Because fight fans, I want you to know this is gloves off. So these guys and these ladies take a lot of damage. Any specific training you've done in preparation that's different from your other camps for this BKFC 8 fight, sir?
Well, mostly since I found out that I got the call, and I'm used to doing MMA, cage fighting, and Muay Thai fights, so I had to transition over to boxing. So this fight camp, I've primarily focused on my boxing and working on my timing and all my angles and stuff. I mean, I usually do that when I'm getting ready for my mixed martial arts fights, but mixed martial arts and boxing are two totally different things. So I've been working more with boxing technique and tweaking a few things because MMA hands are different than boxing hands, and a lot of people get that misconstrued when they cross over because MMA hands don't work so much with boxing hands, especially when you got a good guy that's a decent to good striker that's done boxing for a long time.
Well said. Well spoken, my friend. You know, your opponent, Warren, has not fought since 2012. I feel oftentimes ring rust is an issue. It is my own personal opinion. So do you think that's going to give you a clear advantage when it comes to this fight?
I feel like it should give me a clear advantage, but at the same point in time, I'm not going to be thinking about his ring rust or anything because, you never know, since he hasn't fought since 2012 that he hasn't still been training, but, I stay pretty active myself. I fought, this will be my second fight this year. Last year I fought 4 times, and the year before that I fought twice. So, and as an amateur, I've stayed very, very actively. And the longest layoff I had was probably maybe a year, and that was my transition of switching from an amateur fighter to going pro.
So, Brian, you have a unique story about how you got involved with Bare Knuckle FC. Will you share that story with our viewers, please?
Yes. Well, the way I got involved is, I had a buddy named Bruce Abramsky. He fought Kendall Grove on BKFC 2, and I fought like literally 2 weeks before then. Probably one of the biggest fights of my pro career so far. I fought a guy named Ryan Parker, and I ended the fight in the first round via heel hook. But after the fight, Bruce asked me did I want to be his corner for BKFC 2 because he was offered a fight. So I was interested to see what it was because be there live because I watched BKFC 1 sitting here at home, and I was like, oh man, that's very, very interesting. So I'd like to try it out one day, but long story short, I came to Biloxi, Mississippi. We was there, and a lot of the fighters thought I was there to fight, but Bruce was there to fight. People were trying to interview me and all this good stuff, and I'm not the type of person to try to take somebody's shine, and I had to kind of guide them away from me and put them on him because I'm not that kind of guy to take, like I said a few seconds ago, to take somebody else's shine. And so, we went there. He fought Kendall Grove, and I was offered a chance before I went to tryouts, but like I said before, it wasn't my time yet, and like I said, I didn't want to take nobody else's shine. So, I sat back and waited my turn to get a different opportunity. And when I got my different opportunity, they came out. I seen Bare Knuckle FC had, posted tryouts in Philly, and then I was like, that is definitely my calling. I got in touch with Nate Shook, and you know, he sent me a link, and I signed up and took the 6 hour drive from where I live to Philly, and I showed up and I did what I had to do, and I feel like I impressed everyone that was there, and I got the call a couple months later. They told me what I needed to do. I had to get another win on my record, and I trained. I was having another fight lined up, and I told myself I'm going to get this win, so I know that I solidify myself and get my big opportunity in my second year of being a professional fighter. So I got the win in less than a minute, and then they surprised me at the event and offered me a fight, and I accepted on site.
It's an awesome story. Wow, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yes, it's a blessing so far. I figured I would get an opportunity. I just didn't know when. I didn't know it would be this soon. And when they told me that when I got the call that it would be this soon, I was very, very excited about it. And I knew what I had to do to change up my fight camps and what I had to do to prepare for this upcoming fight.
When we speak about combat sports, I want viewers to understand as well that you have quite a stellar reputation in combat sports. You also wrestled in college as well. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I went to college. I wrestled for NAIA West Virginia Tech, and when it was in Montgomery, West Virginia, I only wrestled for a year because, I went through my phase of I got burnt out and I was tired of wrestling, and I thought I would never get to that point because wrestling was my life from the age of 13 until college. And, my freshman year I did pretty well. I only lost one time, and it was in the Penn State Open. And, in college, in certain levels of college, if you place top three in any tournament that's a national tournament, you're already classified as like a junior All-American or something like that, if I remember correctly back then. But, I was the week before nationals, I was at practice, and, I dislocated my kneecap, so I didn't get to make nationals my freshman year. And I went through a little bit of a slump for a couple of weeks, and I decided that, I was burnt out, and after my freshman year was complete, I decided I didn't want to wrestle anymore, and I should have went back, but I came home and never went back. And, a few years went by. I had already had it in my mind that, while I was in college, I started watching UFC fights and stuff in college, just sitting in my dorm room chilling, and happened to be flipping through the channels, and Anderson Silva just happened to be fighting. I forgot who he was fighting, but it was the main event. Anderson Silva was fighting, and I was like, man, this sparks my interest. And I watched the whole fight, and I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And I got to, after the fight, I got to talking to my roommates and stuff, and I told them eventually that'll be me one day. And so after that, I was hooked on watching UFC fights after that. So I tried to watch literally everything that involved in mixed martial arts, like stories, biography, reading magazines, reading books, watching a bunch of YouTube videos. And like I tell everyone, it really sparked my interest, but I didn't know how to go about getting into training or where to train or none of that. But when I came back home from college, 2 years went by after college. I didn't do nothing with myself. I worked all the time, and like some guys do after college, they work and drink and party and stuff. And that was me for 2 years after college. And then I finally decided, it's time for me to do something as an athlete, because I've been an athlete most of my life. So I moved away from my hometown to 30 minutes up the road to here in Roanoke, Virginia. And I just was looking on the internet one day, and I seen a Ruckus in the Cage promotion going on, and Ruckus in the Cage was well known in this area back when I first started fighting. Right. And I decided I'm going to sign up for this and see if they accept. So within 48 hours, I got the phone call from the promoter, and he's like, "Would you want to fight a 2-0 guy?" And I was like, I didn't know nothing too much about the business back then, but I was like, sure, I'll fight a 2-0 guy. He's from a well-known gym called Absolute Jiu-Jitsu out of Bristol, Tennessee, I think, if I'm correct. But I was like, yeah, I'll take the fight. So my training started then. I didn't start necessarily at a mixed martial arts gym. I started going to Planet Fitness to get back in shape and lift weights and to get some of the fat off my body. And there happened to be a guy in there. He had MMA shorts on and a tap-out shirt, and I know that's so cliche that somebody had MMA shorts on and a tap-out shirt. So I just happened to walk up to him and asked him, I was like, "Hello, sir." I told him my name and asked him, "Is there any MMA gyms around?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's several." And, he said he trains people and this, that, and the third. And, we exchanged Facebook names and numbers and stuff, and we got to rapping, and that's how it happened, and my amateur career started. So with that being said,
yeah.
But yeah, with that being said, it was 2 months until fight time, and I decided to learn as much as I could within that period of time. Of course, I was a wrestler, so I know I was going to use that regardless, because that's been my base since I was 13 years old. But he taught me some boxing and stuff like that. And like I said, long story short, got to fight day. Guys 2-0. I'm nervous. I'm walking around just beating my head on stuff and listening to music to get myself amped up because my nerves are through the roof. And my name gets called. It's fight time, so I'm still nervous. And me, when I get nervous, I throw up. So I threw up before the fight.
Oh, no. Are you serious? I'm sorry. Oh, God.
Yeah,
Go on.
So I literally threw up right before I walked out. But after that, I was good. My nervousness went away, but then my adrenaline kicked in. So I took like 5 minutes to get to the cage. And once I got in there and the door shut and he walked in and the door shut, from then on, I knew it was game time. But, once we got to tussling, I hit him with a two-piece and knocked him out in 25 seconds. And that's probably still to this day the highlight of my amateur and pro career. That first fight, getting a knockout, it was awesome.
What an inspiring story. I mean, that just is like so cool. I didn't know any of that. So thank you for sharing that with our viewers. Before we go today, is there anything else you want to add, sir?
I would definitely like to thank Nate Shook and Mr. David Feldman and also the other guys that were at the Philly tryouts, so that were, scouting and decided to give me a chance. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm an opportunist. I always take up on an opportunity when given it. And like I told them, I'm ready to show up and show out and put on a show for the fans and prove to them why they picked me out of all the other several fighters that were there in Philly.
Good for you. We definitely look forward to that fight. All right, Bare Knuckle and fight fans, trust me, you don't want to miss BKFC 8, Saturday, October 19th. As always, fans, you can catch that fight on Fight TV. Tickets for the live event are on sale, but you better hurry up exclusively at www.bareknuckle.tv. And of course, I'll be there bringing you reports from fights throughout the week and on fight night. Help a girl out. Hit the subscribe button below. Leave a comment. And guess what, fight fans? You probably don't know this, but I read every single one of the comments personally because, who needs sleep when you can talk combat sports, right, Brian? Thanks for watching, and good luck to you. I look forward to seeing you at BKFC 8, sir.
Yes, ma'am.